Welcome back. In this video, we will talk about speed. Different objects may take different amounts of time to cover a given distance. Some objects move faster and some move slower. One of the ways of measuring the rate of motion of an object, in other words, speed, is to find out the distance traveled by that object in unit time. This quantity is referred to as speed. To specify the speed of an object, we require only its magnitude. The speed of an object need not be constant. In most cases, in our day to day lives, you will find objects in non uniform motion. So, in such cases, we describe the rate of motion of such objects in terms of their average speed. So, how do you get the average speed? The average speed of an object is obtained by dividing the total distance traveled by the total time taken. That is, average speed equals total distance traveled divided by the total time taken. So, if an object travels a distance s in time t, then its speed v is v equals s divided by t. So, what is speed again? Speed refers to how fast an object is moving. Speed can be thought of as the rate at which an object covers distance. A fast moving object has a high speed and covers a relatively large distance in a very short amount of time, whereas a slow moving object that has a low speed covers a relatively small amount of distance in the same amount of time. An object with no movement at all has a zero speed. The SI unit of speed is meter per second. You can write a symbol like this. The other units of speed include centimeter per second and kilometer per hour. So, in order to understand this better, let's do a numerical problem, shall we? So, you may find this kind of question in your textbook. An object travels 16 meters in 4 seconds and then another 16 meters in 2 seconds. What is the average speed of the object? So, in this case, we already got the distance, that's 16 meters, and then another 16 meters. Okay, so these two, we got these two numbers as distance, and we got the time as well, which is 4 seconds and 2 seconds. All right, so an object travels, so let's just say an object is traveling, a car maybe, okay, and it is traveling at a distance of 16 meters and then another 16 meters. All right, so you know what you have to do. So you have to find the total distance. You just have to add them, and then you get a total distance of 32 meters. But this is the distance. This is the distance, so I'll just put a D over there. And then we already know the time. So the time in the first case, it took about 4 seconds, and in the next case, it took about 2 seconds. And if you add these two time, you will get the total time as 6 seconds. So that would be your time. Okay, so all we have to do right now is plug in the numbers. So what we can do is we can just write down, I mean it's always neater to write down this way. You can just say that the total distance traveled, you can just say the total distance traveled would be equal to 32 meters, and the total time taken equals 6 seconds. All right, so this is how you're supposed to write down the sentences. And I would always encourage you to draw pictures like this, just to make your numerical or word problems more easier, so that you are able to understand the problem in a better way. So all you have to do right now is plug in. So we have the average speed, which is nothing but the total distance traveled. I'm just writing in just short form, total distance traveled divided by the total time taken. Okay, so that would be nothing but, just plug in the numbers, 32 meters. But here it's always better to write the SI unit as well. 32 meters divided by 6 seconds, and the answer would be 5.33 meter per second. All right, so you can just this is your answer. This would be the answer for the first question. Now let's talk about velocity. So what is velocity? Well, if we specify an object's direction of motion along with its speed, then that would be known as velocity. Velocity is the speed of an object moving in a definite direction. For example, let's say a car is moving at 50 kilometers per hour. That's your speed. But if I say it is traveling at 50 kilometers due north or due east, etc., that's your velocity. So, velocity gives a definite direction. In other words, you need to attach some direction to your speed to make it into a velocity. That's it. Velocity has a direction, whereas speed doesn't. Velocity can be uniform or variable, and it can be changed. In case the velocity of the object is changing at a uniform rate, then the average velocity would be written as like this: your initial velocity plus final velocity divided by 2. Now let's try to solve a numerical problem. So here is another question. Mohan swims in a 90-meter long pool. He covers 180-meter in 1 minute by swimming from one end to the other and back along the same straight path. Find the average speed and average velocity of Mohan. So let me just draw over here. So this is a pool. Okay. So Mohan, so let me just draw him over here. Okay. So this is a pool. Mohan swims in a 90-meter long pool. So this whole length, the distance is about 90-meter. He covers 180-meter. So it looks like he just goes one way and returns back uh, the other way. So that would be another 90-meter. So 90 plus 90, 90 plus 90, 180-meter. All right. So he covers 180-meter in 1 minute. So the time that he has taken is just 1 minute. I'm just writing the SI unit. It's very important. And I will tell you why. So we have an M over here, which is meter, and M over here, which is a minute. But remember, the SI unit for the average speed was meter per second. So this minute, we have to convert that into seconds just to keep the units consistent. All right. So, yeah, so from this question, what we have done is that Mohan swims and covers 180 minutes in 1 minute. All right. So here it is. So the average speed, so the average speed would be equal to the total distance covered. All right. And the total distance covered would be 180 meter divided by the time taken, the total time, which is nothing but 1 minute. But remember, we have to convert this minute into seconds. So every 1 minute has got 60 seconds. All right. And when we do this, we get an answer 3 meter per second. This is your average speed. All right. So we're done with this one. We're done with this one. And now let's solve the other question. All right. Let me just put it up a little bit. So they're asking for the second one, which is average velocity. So let me just write that down. Average velocity. All right. That would be the initial and the final velocity, which is nothing but zero because Mohan began at zero and he ended up going back to the same spot. So zero, that's zero divided by the total time taken. The total time taken, so let me just go up over here, and this is the total time taken in seconds. Okay, so that's exactly what we're going to write. That would be 60 seconds. Okay, 0 meter divided by 60 second. And if you do that, you will get the answer 0 meter per second. This is your average velocity, whereas this one was your average speed. All right, so this is your average speed, and this one would be your average velocity. So here there are two different things. We're just talking about the speed over here, which is just 3 meter per second. But the average velocity, it has a direction, remember? So Mohan, if you can see in my drawing over here, so Mohan just left from there. He swam one direction and then he came back again. So he started from here. That was his initial velocity and he came back. That's his final velocity. So 0 and one more time 0. So that would give you a 0 again. That would be your, the amount, the figure that you have to write over here, divided by the total time taken, and we already know that he takes 1 minute. For minute, we converted that into seconds. That would be 60 seconds. So 0 meter divided by 60 seconds, the answer is 0 meter per second. That would be your average velocity. If you found this video helpful, do like and subscribe to my channel to stay connected.